Hi, Center Hill. For all of you who liked Mindy Kim, there's a number 2. I'm going to start it for you. Mindy Kim and the new Lunar New Year Parade. The author is Lila Lee, illustrator Dong Ho. And now that we know she's Korean, we probably think, well, the author and the illustrator are probably Korean too. So let's see what happens in the second book. To my parents, who always kept me connected to my Korean culture. That's cool. Chapter 1. My name is Mindy Kim. I'm almost 8 years old, or at least. That's how old I am in the United States. In Korea, though, I'm 9. That's what Dad told me as he drove me to school. Korean people calculate age differently, he said. You are already 1 year old when you're born, and then you get 1 year older on New Year's Day, instead of getting older on your birthday. I got really excited since it's been 8 years since I was born. 1 plus 8 is 9, and 9 years old was definitely old enough to get a puppy. And even better, Lunar New Year was this Saturday. Does this mean that I'll turn 10 this weekend? I asked, throwing my backpack in the back seat. Dad laughed. No, silly, people only age up on the 1st of January or on Lunar New Year, not both. I sat back in my seat with a big huff. What's the point of 2 New Years if you can only age up to one? Dad shook his head as he pulled into the school's parking lot. It's an important part of our culture, Mindy. It goes way back to the times when our ancestors in Korea used the lunar calendar to tell time. A lunar calendar is a calendar that goes by the moon. And we use a solar calendar that goes by the sun. So a lunar calendar doesn't have 365 days in it. It's funny. Tell you what, why don't we go to the Lunar New Year Parade in Orlando this weekend? I saw an ad for it the other day. It looks like it'll be fun. Dad smiled at me, but I was unconvinced. The last time Dad said something would be fun, I ended up watching a boring show about really slow slugs all by myself because he fell asleep in 5 minutes. Plus, so much has changed since the last time we celebrated Lunar New Year. Last year, Dad, Mom, and I celebrated with other Korean people in our neighborhood. We played really fun games like Yut Nori and Jaggi Kaji, ate so many yummy rice cakes, and even sang karaoke. There was no way that we would have as much fun this year as we did then. Not without Mom. Now, the only other Korean family in our neighborhood is Eunice's, and they were going to Seattle to visit their relatives for the holiday. It was going to be just me and Dad. I know I've missed a picture. Here she is in the car with their dad. So sorry I missed that. So Eunice's family's going to be out of town. It was going to just be me and Dad. The parade will be fun, Dad said again. It'll be good for us to leave the house. I sighed. Dad really wanted to go to the parade, and I didn't want to make him sad by saying I didn't want to go. Okay, I said, I'll go to the parade. Dad beamed. Great. See you after school, honey. Bye, Appa, I said, using the Korean word for Daddy. I headed toward the school. My shoulders slumped. I was not looking forward to Lunar New Year. Not anymore. Let's see what happens in Chapter 2. After school was over, Eunice picked me up like usual, but since Dad was working super late today, she took us to her house instead of going to mine. So, Mindy, are you excited for Lunar New Year? Eunice asked while we were doing homework in her room. Not really, I said. We're not really doing anything, just going on a parade in Orlando. Oh, parades are fun, though. I heard that Orlando one is really good. It got so popular that they had to move it to a larger location to fit all the people. I wish we were going on vacation like you, I said. It's going to be really lonely with just Dad and me, even with all the people at the parade. Eunice stopped writing her notebook for a second, and then her face lit up with a smile. Hold on, I have an idea. Why don't you take a break from homework and play with Oliver? I'll be right back. I shrugged. Okay. After Eunice left, I looked under the desk where Oliver, the Maltese, that's a dog, was sleeping. He was making cute little huffy puffy sounds. I guess that's how dogs sound when they're snoring. Hey, Oliver, I said softly, do you want to play? Oliver's ears twitched, but he just kept snoring away. I sighed. That was probably a no. Instead, I went back to my homework. We were doing long division, and it was pretty easy, although sometimes the teacher threw in things called remainders to be tricky. I'll get you remainders, I muttered to myself as I scribbled down my answers. Soon my paper was full of numbers. Eunice finally came back into her room, and when she did, she was grinning from ear to ear. Come down to the kitchen, Mindy, she said. I have a surprise for you. A surprise? I clapped with excitement. I love surprises. Eunice's mom greeted us both with a big hug when we came into the kitchen. Mindy, you came just in time. I just finished making Teo Kagook. I have no idea what this is. Teo Gook, I exclaimed. Really? But it isn't Lunar New Year yet. Teo Gook is a special soup with cute, oval-shaped pieces of rice cake that everyone in Korea eats during Lunar New Year. Mom used to make it every year because eating the rice cake soup is supposed to give you a fresh, clean start for the new year ahead. I was wondering if I get to eat Teo Gook this year, but I hadn't mentioned it to Dad. I didn't want to make him sad by reminding him of Mom. Eunice told me that you and your dad are going to stay in Florida for the holidays, said Mrs. Park. So I wanted to give you a little taste of home. I'll pack some leftover soup for your dad so he can eat some when he gets off work too. Eunice's mom is so nice. I gave her a big hug and sat down at the dining room table. The soup was nice and hot with strips of egg, beef, and dried seaweed arranged prettily in the bowl. It was so good, almost as good as Mom's. To make things even better, Oliver, the Maltese, came to sit next to me at the dining room table. The food smell must have woken him up. He stared at me with big puppy eyes, pretty much asking me to feed him. Here's a picture, and here's cute little Oliver. I snuck him in a few pieces of beef. He's lucky he's cute. When we were done eating, Mrs. Park brought us plates full of cute, colorful rice cakes. Both Eunice and her dad really like rice cakes, so we always end up buying too many. Why don't you take some to share with your classmates tomorrow? It's not like we can finish them all before we go to Seattle. I thought back to the seaweed business I started several months ago. I guess sharing was okay as long as I didn't ask for anything back. My teacher, Mrs. Potts, said only trading snacks was banned, not just giving them. Okay, thank you, I said with a big bow. Dad always said that you should bow to Korean adults in two different scenarios. One, if I was seeing them for the first time that day, and two, if they did something really nice for me. Mrs. Park smiled. No problem. Hope you and your dad enjoy the food. I was feeling a bit better about Lunar New Year. Yummy food always makes everything better. Doesn't yummy food always make everything better? So if you like the first Mindy Kim, check this one out.